everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations, and I'm going to share with you how to make this awesome folio using Love is in the Air, which is an exclusive paper collection by Country Craft Creations, and I just absolutely adore this album. So this album came to me because of a card that I made, a Z-fold card, and I thought, well, why not actually make this into kind of a full-size album? So I did it folio style, no chipboard involved in this project at all, but it has a ton of space, and let me share with you a walkthrough, and then we're going to move on into the tutorial, and I'll show you how easy it is to make. So again, this is the Love is in the Air paper collection exclusively at Country Craft Creations, and it's a really beautiful Valentine's Day love theme paper collection, and I just absolutely adore it. On the cover, I made these rosettes that are heart-shaped, and I learned how to do these a long time ago. I can't remember where I learned it, but I'm going to show you that how to make those at the end of the tutorial. So I decorated it with 3 of the heart rosettes, and then I took and did the double bows behind the buttons and just glued them down, some flowers from my stash. And then here, the leaves, I actually used a die that I got from Country Craft Creations by Heartfelt Creations, and I'll show you that at the end of the tutorial, and I'll kind of show you how I did it. I don't know if you can tell very well, but there is a little dimension on those leaves, so I added those. And then this is one of the cut-aparts from the paper collection that I just double matted and then fussy cut around those, so I don't have a die or anything for that, but I did do that. I wanted to showcase the women in this paper because they are just absolutely stunningly beautiful, and I loved them. So I've got her on the back, or on the front, excuse me, and then I have this lovely lady on the back hanging up her Valentine's banner. So just very cute album. It measures 2 inches at the spine. It's 8.5 by 8.5, and again, there is no chipboard in this, but the page, the actual folio are super sturdy, because what I did with this one is I used the artisan cardstock in black, and then I double matted the covers in red, and then it has pattern paper on both sides, plus there's a waterfall in here, so the covers are super sturdy. So I think that's going to be nice. So when it just has a simple tie closure, and I don't know what my deal is, but lately I've been really into this check gingham ribbons, so I use that because I really just thought it tied in, literally. And then when you open it up, you get this. So you have the same thing on both sides, just mirror images of each other. So when you open this up, it is, again, everything is held together with a tie. And then you have this Z-fold. Now, this is just like in the card making. Basically, I adapted it to make an album out of it. And then on the fronts of the Z-fold, I have pockets, and in the pockets I used cut-aparts from the collection, and I made some plain mats and then some booklet mats. On the pockets, I made this kind of assembly, and I'm going to show you how to make those. So when you open this up, there's another pocket because that's on the front. And then I made other tags. This one is a photo mat that I used one of the cut-aparts on. This tag is using another die that I got, and I'm going to show you how I put that together, but it's just a super cute little tag. And then this is lifted up so you could tuck a picture underneath the top. And then one of the graphic 45 tags that I just covered simply and then added ribbons. I went through my stash and I just got a ton of my scrap ribbons and was able to use those in the project, and it used up a lot of the scraps that I kept. Now on the backs of the pages without the pockets, I left them plain with the pattern paper. So then you can open it this way. The back is plain again, and then here's another pocket. Now this is a faux graphic 45 tag, and I'm going to tell you how I made that, and I covered it with pattern paper. I used some of the gold mirror to make the hole reinforcement, and then again just tied my ribbons through there. And then we also have another piece of the pattern paper that I used as a tag, and then this one is a card on the cut apart. So that is that side, but then you open it up, you can open it up this way. Here's another page, and then we have our waterfall, and the waterfall is held together with the ribbon closure and then these pages that will be on top of it. And I just used what was left of my pattern paper to do that. So when you can open it up full size, and you have that on that side, and then on this side you have that. So it's actually pretty huge, but if you leave it as like a book, you can just turn the pages like a book and, you know, use it that way as well. So the second side is the same as far as it's mirror imaged, and I do have the you know, tags that I use, different ones though, so everything is all different. And all of the pockets have, again, this assembly on here, and you open it up and here's more tags. So more of the graphic 45s, and then another piece of the pattern paper that I wanted to use as a journal tag. And then you open it up, and then here's your waterfall back here. When you do this, then you have, see, you can see it's just huge, and it will hold a ton of pictures, and it's really interactive, and I really love this concept. So this is, again, Love is in the Air. It's available exclusively at Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to put this together, and then I'm going to show you how to make the elements and the rosettes. So let's get this out of the way for a sec and get some things. So, excuse me, still trying to recover from my cold, and it is it's bugging me. So our folio covers, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock, and I used, for the tutorial, for the demonstration purposes, I'm using Craft Artisan cardstock, because then I can go back and use some different papers and cover it. It will go with just about everything. So you will need 2 pieces that are 9.5 by 11, and I should say this whole album, except for the tags and stuff, that's all extra, but to make the actual pages, waterfalls, and the covers, it only takes 10 pieces of cardstock. So it doesn't take a whole lot to make this. So the folio covers are 2 at 9.5 by 11. You're going to grab your scoreboard, and we're going to put them in the scoreboard, and we're going to score them both the same way. So when you put it in with the 11 at the top, you're basically going to score at 1 and at 9. And then you're going to turn it, and you're going to score at 1/2 and at 9 on the 9.5, okay? So again, on the 9.5, you'll score at 1/2 and at 9. And then at the 11, you'll score at 1/2 and at 9, okay? Now, they're both scored exactly the same, but they're cut a little bit different. So on the first one, you can see that I cut tabs. This is the 2-inch piece. This is going to become the spine. And you're going to make a tab on both sides. You're going to make a tab at the top, and you're going to miter those corners, okay? These edges on the outsides will fold in and create kind of a nice reinforced edge, and then this is going to create the spine. Now on the second one, we'll do exactly the same thing, except the tabs here we're going to just cut off. So that's why I put the X there, okay? So we'll just go ahead, and I'm going to cut that score straight, because that is going to become the spine, and then we're going to miter our corners. Now I didn't like sharply miter the corners on this one, because I really did want to kind of reinforce the cover, since there is no chipboard involved in this book, okay? So we're just going to cut those out and be done with that, okay? So then let's get rid of these, and let's fold and burnish all of our score lines, okay? And these will just get simply glued down to reinforce our cover. And then I did, you know, like I said, double matted with the cardstock and the pattern paper. So in the project I used black for the main color, and then I used the red for a mat. So you will need 2 pieces of red and 10 pieces of black all together if you do it like I did it. I'm just folding and burnishing. All right. So then we're going to put this together and put that up here for just a second. So when you do this, I'm going to put this right on the inside, and I'm going to just double check, do a dry fit, and just make sure that those fold in. And there's a little bit of buckling here, so I'm going to just trim this off just a little bit because I do want the spine to be, you know, nice and reinforced. So I'm just going to make sure that that fits well, and that looks like that will fit well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my art glitter glue and glue that down. And I did double mat the spine piece as well. And I'm just going to the score line, and it's kind of hard to see with this craft cardstock, even for me, but I'm just going to go to the score line here because I want my paper to bend properly. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to glue all these edges down. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little glue on the tab, fold that over, and glue that down. And that's going to just help reinforce the edges, and also because it's folded over will give it a nice kind of finished look, kind of as if we were wrapping chipboard. Now, all that being said, if you do want to use some lightweight chipboard in this, you certainly could. And if you did want to do that, I would put it in and then fold these edges over the chipboard, and I would cut them 1/8 of an inch smaller. So these covers here are 8.5 by 8.5, so I would cut them at 8 3/8 by 8 3/8, and then lay the chipboard down and then put these edges over top of the chipboard. But like I said, if you double mat with the cardstock, you definitely are not going to need that. Okay, so now all of this is going to be covered with pattern paper at some point, not for this model, because I'm just going to show you how to make the book. Super simple. The only thing you have to remember as far as using pattern paper is that we have to make the cover, and then we're going to make the pages that actually accordion out. And then what you're going to do is you'll need to put pattern paper on the inside covers, because the waterfalls actually sit on top of the pattern paper. So you will have to make sure you do that before you attach your waterfalls inside your book. The other thing that we're going to have to do, and I didn't cut ribbon to show for the demonstration, but I'll go ahead and put the score tape on to kind of demonstrate what you need to do. But you will, before you cover the outside with pattern paper, you will need to attach your ribbons. So, not knowing what I'm going to be using for this, I don't know which ribbons to cut, but what I did need is 6 pieces, 1 foot long each, of ribbon. And what you're going to do is grab your centering ruler and your score tape, and you're going to put a piece of ribbon here that will come out for the closure, and this is on the outside cover. Okay, and let me go ahead and just write this. Okay, and then you're going to need to put a piece coming out the top and out the bottom, and those are the ones that will wrap around and actually close the inner flaps. Okay, so you'll put ribbon coming out of the top and the bottom and then out of the side of your book, okay, on the front and the back. So we'll go ahead and grab our score tape and our centering ruler, and since these are at 8.5 by 8.5, we'll put that at about the 4 1/4 mark, is where the center will, I can't see it. So the center, it'll be 4 1/4, 4 1/4. So then we'll just go ahead and on that center line, put our score tape, and then that's where you're gonna attach your ribbons. So we'll do that next. Well, we'll pretend we're gonna do that next, okay? We're gonna put those in place to simulate that, okay? So on all 4 sides, and again, you'll need 6 pieces of ribbon or seam binding that are 12 inches each. And that seemed to work pretty darn good. So, all right, last one, centered, and put our tape on. Okay, so in real life, if we were really making this album, now we would add our ribbons for all of our closures, okay? So then let's get, the next thing we need to do is make our pages. So I already made 1 page assembly. They're made exactly the same, just opposite of each other, okay? And they're really super simple to do. And they are, like I said, a Z fold. So you're gonna have that dimension in your album, and one will go one direction, one will go the other direction. So I already made one. We're gonna make one exactly the same, just a mirror image, okay? And you will need 3 pieces of, or excuse me, altogether you'll need 6 pieces, and you'll use 3 on each side. So you'll need 2 that are 8 by 8 3/4, 2 that are 6 1/2 by 8 3/4, and 2 that are 5 by 8 3/4. And I'll give you a hint. So you'll need 2 cardstocks to cut the 2 8 by 8 3/4. But here, if you use 2 cardstocks, you can get a 6 1/2 and a 5-inch piece out of each one. So that'll give you the total number you need. So you'll need 4 for these pages. That's part of the 10 that you'll need all together. But I just thought I'd give you that quick tip for that. And then you're gonna put every single one in the scoreboard and score them all exactly the same way, at half and at 1/4. Every single one done the same way, okay? That's it. And then you'll notice that I have already drawn lines on my papers. So what you're gonna do on every single one, you are going to take your ruler and you're going to measure down 1 1/2 inches and make a tick mark. And then from that 1/4 inch score, so you have your 1/2 inch score and then you have your 1/4 inch score. So from your 1/4 inch score, you're gonna make a line and you're gonna cut that off. Just cut that completely off. Leave your tabs and your 1/4 inch gusset alone. Don't cut into that, okay? So it's just on the page. So I've already done that, and every one is exactly the same. So 1.5 inches, and then just go draw a line and then diagonally up to that 1/4 inch score. So you should have something that looks like that, okay? And you can see that those 2 are straight and then the diagonal is on the page. So we're gonna do that for all of them. This is a super easy album to put together, that's for sure. It's really a fun album to do, okay? So all of these done the same. Now, the only thing you have to remember is that we're doing these mirror image. So when you make one, then you're going to have to really look at it and make sure that you do it the opposite way. So my first one, I have the binding for the biggest piece on the left, okay? Or excuse me, on the right side. And what this is going to do is this is going to attach to the left inside page, okay? So it will open this direction, okay? So they're attached near the spine, okay? So I'm going to hold that in front of me so that I don't mess it up. I want to make sure I get started the correct way. So, and don't ask me how I know all of this and why I'm reinforcing this. But I'm sure you guys can already figure it out. So we're going to fold and burnish all of our scores, okay? There's that one and this one. Now, the beauty of this is that it doesn't really matter you don't have to totally figure out which way to burnish, because artisan cardstock is amazing and you don't have to worry about it. So if you need to fold it in the opposite direction, you totally can, and you're not going to hurt your paper, which is what we're going to do. Okay, so what you're going to do is just adhere these so that they accordion. So this side here should match the height of the page that we're attaching it to, and this side should attach and be the same height as the one we're doing over here. Hope that makes sense. So we're just going to miter the 1/2 inch tab only on both of these, and then glue them together. Super simple. So you just need to make them the opposite direction. That's all you need to do. So let's grab some glue here. And I'm going to turn it so I can actually see it. And I'm just gluing it right to the edge of that page. Okay. There we go. And basically we're doing it accordion style, okay? And remember, we're keeping our orientation correct. We have our tab, it's going to attach to this side, and our tab that's going to attach to this side, right on the edge of the spine there, okay? And then we'll grab this guy here, and same thing, we'll just grab the tab. And I'm going to open this up just so I can see it a little easier. Actually, I picked craft paper thinking it was going to be easy to see, but it's not even easy for me to see. So, all right, so we're just gluing that 1/2 inch tab down. So we have our 1/4 inch gusset, which is going to be nice for our, you know, tags and things. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to just kind of fill this up with tags, and I kind of went to town on that. Okay, so we got this guy done. Now we're going to do our pockets. Now you will need 6 total, and they are 3 by 9. And you're going to do all 6 of them exactly the same way. So I've got all of them ready except for this one, so I can show you. You're going to put it your scoreboard at 9, score at 1/2, score at 8.5, and then score at 2.5. And we're going to just miter and make our pockets. And then when I did the pattern paper for these, I put my pattern paper in completely all the way down so that it would cover the tabs at the bottom of the pocket. So if you don't want to do that, I would do the tape trick, and when you glue the bottom of the pocket in, you know, put the tape over the edge to kind of so your tags don't get stuck on them. But I'm going to put the paper, or I did put the paper all the way down, so it will cover that anyway. So it's kind of a moot point. All right, now the pockets go on the fronts only, okay? So when you're looking at your album, and your album, like right here, if we had it attached in our book, here's the pocket, and then here's a pocket. So the fronts of the pages, okay? Right here. So you have to be careful when you're doing that and make sure that you get them, because if you put them all on the same side, the pockets will be actually on the back. So you don't want to do that. I want them on the front because I want all the tags sticking up, so when you open the folio, you really see it. Okay, that was part of my idea, is just to have like massive amounts of beautiful tags and ribbons and things to look at. So that's why I did it that way. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this up just because it'll make it flat because of all the gussets, and then you're just going to simply glue them down. So if you open it up like I'm doing, then you will put the first pocket on the front of this first page. Kind of going quickly here. Just like so. Okay, skip the middle. This is going to be end up being the front of this page. And we'll glue this one down. I know I'm going pretty quick, but this is actually a really simple album to put together. And like I said, it has a lot of wow factor for not very much cardstock. Now, it did take quite a little bit of paper. That being said, super cute. So when we fold it up, there's the fronts, okay? So we've got the two front pockets here and here, and we need to put our front pocket here. So we'll go ahead and open it the opposite direction and grab our pocket. Like so. And then go ahead and lay that pocket down. Okay. So now our pockets will be, oops, I folded. See how easy it is to get confused? So that's why you gotta kind of keep your mind focused on that. So pocket, pocket, and then the front of this pocket, okay? Now let's just add them to the book, all right? So I didn't miter the corners on these. I left them whole because there's going to be a 1/4 of an inch from the top and the bottom, and you won't really see them. So I didn't miter the pages here. So I'm just gonna put glue on the 1/2 inch tab. And I'm gonna go 1/4 of an inch up. I'm gonna eyeball it. Just make sure you don't go in your score line, okay? And glue that down. And of course we're leaving our 1/2 inch, or our 1/2 inch is getting glued down, but our 1/4 inch is staying open because that is gusset space, okay? Just like that. And we'll do the other side. Same thing. And again, I'm just eyeballing. And we'll lay that down. Okay, done. Done with that. Okay, that is the next step. So then, if we were really making the album, here is where you want to put your pattern paper down in the inside, because the next thing we're going to do is the waterfalls, and that needs to go down before you put the waterfalls down, okay? But before we start that, let's talk about how to mat these pages. So for the smallest page, all right, you're going to cut a 7 7/8 inch by 4 7/8 inch piece. You're going to measure down 1.5 inches and then just cut that off. And that's all you have to do to cover that particular piece. And then what I did was I actually made templates and then used that, and then I just freehand cut it. But if you don't want to do it that way, then just cut a 7 7/8 by 4 7/8, measure down 1.5 inches, cut that angle off, and then that will give you the perfect matting for that page. For the next page, 7 7/8 by 6 3/8. Okay, same thing. Measure down 1.5 inches, cut that off, and then you have, you know, the perfect mat for this page. Okay, now just make sure you remember that you'll have to mirror image your papers. So again, you have to be kind of careful with that, but I did it and I mirror imaged. So let me show you in the book here. Well, that's a good, so like the back side of here, I used this beautiful cloud paper with the hearts and the balloons on both sides. So you just have to make sure, because this angle here goes from left to right, but this one goes from right to left. So just be careful with that. I did that when I was planning that out. Okay, and so then the largest piece, so that this is for the back page here. Okay, 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. And again, measure down 1.5 inches and then cut that angle off to the corner. Okay, and that's all you have to do. The mats for the pockets, these are 2.5 by 8. So you would cut them at 2 3/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, that's all you need to do your pattern papers for that. So let's look at our waterfalls next. And I'm just doing my standard stacked waterfall. I already have one prepared. So you'll need 2 pieces that are 6 by 10.5, 2 pieces that are 6 by 9.5, and 2 pieces that are 6 by 8.5. Every single piece is scored the same. Put it in your scoreboard, score it at 4, and then turn, score it at 4. That's the easiest thing to do. The biggest piece will give you a 2.5-inch spine, and then they'll get smaller as the smaller pieces, okay? So we're just gonna fold these, and then we'll burnish and then put them together. So then I'm gonna turn my scoreboard to my side because that's how I'm going to lay these down. So my score line is measuring up to my 4-inch mark. So I'm gonna take the next size piece, and I'm gonna add my glue to that spine piece of the waterfall. And I'm going to just kind of put that at the 4.5-inch mark, line it up to the base there, and then burnish that down. Excuse me. All right. Like so. And then grab the next piece. This will give you a lot of photo opportunity. That is for sure. It's just crazy how many pages you get for photos. These will measure 4 by 6, so you will have to cut, you know, 4 by 4 photos a little bit, but not much, only by 1/8 of an inch. So you won't be missing a lot of photo space. All right, so just like that. Now, the other beauty to this too is that I did my photo mats so that they were vertical, but if you wanted them horizontal, you could totally do that too. It really will work either way. So just remember, you do have to put your pattern paper on first, because otherwise, I'm going to put this down just so you can see. You can see that you're gonna have a lot of space around your waterfalls. And when I centered them, let's see, I want to say I centered them 1 inch up and 1.25 inches in. Okay, let me double check that just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what I did. 1 1.25 inches. Yep, that's what I did. Yep. Okay, so 1 inch down, top and bottom, 1.25 inches in. Now, if you do them sideways, it'll be 1 inch on the sides and 1.25 inches up and down, but you could totally do them this direction or this direction if you wanted to. It's completely up to you. This will be a blank page, and again, this will hold everything down with the ties that we added to the front. Okay, so those are the waterfalls. So you just make 2 of those, one for the very back inside page, one for the very front back of the inside page. Okay, does that make sense? You know what I'm saying. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, now that's it. That's the album. And then basically it's just decorating. So let's talk about how I decorated, because I did a lot of really fun stuff. So I used quite a bit of things. So I did purchase these dies, all of these dies. Let me get this out of the way, from Country Craft Creations. So I wanted some leaf dies because I really like leaves with my flowers. I really wanted to use them, so I did use them. I did make, where is it, an example here. So I punched out or die cut out one of these, just like you do with flowers. I put it on a foam base, and I just kind of, I used something really, what did I use? I used, where is it? Because the leaves are so big, I used the end of my Cricut tool, and I just kind of rounded them a little bit, and then I put a piece of foam tape in there to kind of help keep the dome shape. So it had a little bit of texture to it and a little bit of height to it, and that's how I put the leaves on and how I adhered them down. So I basically, that's how I did that. And I used this die, and I love it. So I used these 2 right here. I haven't used these yet, but I'm itching to. These are just beautiful. I love these dies. They worked fantastic. So I made several of those. And then you can see I layered them underneath the flowers and the rosettes, and they have a little bit of the texture there. I hope you can see that. And they're puffed up with the foam dots, so it's really, really cute that way. So I did that. And then, let's see, I used the Graphic 45 dies here, the big one and this one here for the tags. And we'll talk about the tags in just a second. So I did use that. These are from Country Craft Creations as well. And then I used the tag and ticket. So this is a new one to me also. And I used the bar dies here. I used all 3 tag dies in this particular project. So all of those. So let's go through and I'll show you what I did. So, oh, I fibbed. I fibbed a little bit. I didn't use this die. I could have used this die. And if you have this die, you could totally cover your tags with pattern paper, but I didn't use it. I was going to, and then I didn't. I decided not to. So I fibbed. I'm so sorry. But what I did do was I took the tags and then I cut a piece of pattern paper to fit, and these tags, or the pattern paper that fit these tags, are 4 3/4 wide by 4 1/8 tall, and I'm just going to glue these down. I used 4 of these in my book, and I just covered the fronts. I didn't cover the back because I thought you could put a picture on there. So I just did that. And then with most of my tags, what I did was I went through like my scraps of seam binding and ribbon, and I grabbed some links in pinks and whites and reds and blacks, and I can't get, there it is. Get that in there. Okay, so then I just loop them through once and then just had them up above, and then I grabbed a piece of this cord in red from my stash, and I'm just going to tie a bow, and that's all I'm going to do. And then I'll trim the edges, and then we have a pretty tie on our tag. I'm just going to tie that, fluff it, fuss it, make it however big you want it. And then I'm just going to kind of make sure that like my seam binding's pulled through and everything's good. And then I'll grab my scissors and I'm just going to cut a little bit of the length off here and here. And then what I'm going to do is, I'll do it later because that won't dry and I want to stick it in the album and make sure everything's good. But I'm going to use a little bit of fray check on the knot to keep it knotted, and then on the ends. If you're using, I usually always, when I'm doing knots like this, I usually always fray check it, just to kind of glue the knot shut. So there's one of the tags. So you'll notice when I showed you the book, one of the pockets only had one of these. This is the one that's going to go in that pocket as well. So we'll put that off to the side, and I'll go ahead and put that in later. This tag here, kind of a fun thing to do. So I didn't have any large tags, and I really wanted some. So what I did was I used this. This was a backing off of brass claw feet that I've had, and this is the exact same size as the tags. And so what I did was I just traced it and cut it out. And I also took my pencil and I, drew the hole in the center. And then what I did was I used my hole punch, the 5/16 hole, and put it in here. And that's how I cut that hole. It's the 5/16. Now, if you don't have this, you can do a different size hole. I just happen to have the same exact hole. And then I did use this die to go ahead and punch my paper, and I love her. She is so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. So I basically kind of created a faux Graphic 45 tag. So the only thing, they worked great, and I used the artisan cardstock to do it. The only thing is you don't get the grommet, which is kind of a bummer, because I really like the grommet. But what I did do in place of a grommet was I made my own hole reinforcements with the mirror gold paper. So I cut a circle that was, I want to say 5/8. Yep, it was 5/8 inch circle that I had. I punched that after I punched a hole, you know, first with this, with the 5/16, okay? And then punched out the 5/8 and made my own hole reinforcements. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue there and then just put that right over the hole. And then, like, ta-da, you have a faux graphic 45 tag that's really, really super cute. And then I did use my corner rounder here. I'm using this We Are Memory Keepers one, and this is available at Country Craft Creations as well. And I love this thing. So I use the largest 10 millimeter corner rounders for the ends, just to make sure, because fussy cutting corners kind of is sometimes funny. So sometimes I just like to do that. So I did that. So I had 2 of these, and I'm going to put one front and one back because I like it. All right, so we have our hole that's reinforced with that gold mirror paper, and it just looks absolutely adorable. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So I had some seam binding and some ribbon, and I'm going to throw that through. Like so. And then I have this twine. Now this twine I didn't have a whole lot of, so what I'm going to do with this one, instead of tying a bow, I'm just going to do a knot. And that will take care of that. So I'm just going to do a square knot, and I'll trim that off just a little bit, maybe, and trim my ribbons a little bit. And now we have this tag complete. Again, I'll go back and I'll use my fray check just to make sure that everything doesn't fray a lot. But there you go. So there's my other tag that I wanted to make. So this little tag here, I did use, this one is the Heartfelt Dies. Oh, I did use the hole reinforcement too. I love this. This one is amazing. So I used some hole reinforcements too. I totally forgot. And the tags, I think the only things I didn't use were the tickets and the you know, the thing. So I cut out the topper and I put a hole reinforcement on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the back on. After I drop it, of course, because I have to do that. So this had the 2 dies, so this one goes perfectly right inside that. Okay, and then I'm going to glue this guy on, and I only glued the angled part because I wanted to be able to kind of tuck a picture underneath it. So I only glued the top part there, and then I'm going to put this flush with the top of the tag, and then I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to put that flush with the top of the tag, and I'm going to center it. And the thing is that this is a little bit bigger. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit bigger than the tag, and I didn't really like the overhang. So I'm just trimming it off so that it totally matches the size of the tag. And I got it a little bit crooked, but no one's ever going to see that. And I'm just going to trim that off like so. Okay. Just like that. And then just make sure that's down. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my hole punch, and I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to line that up. Whoops. Got to put it in the right spot so it actually punches. And then it's a 1/8 inch hole that I'm going to punch through there. So it's through my little hole reinforcement. Now I know where to put the other hole reinforcement. So little dab of glue here, I think, is the easiest way. And then I'm going to grab my forceps here and do that. All right. And that tag is done. And then this one here, I just went through and then just did it like a normal tag. And you can do this whichever side you want to be the front. Come on, get in there. It's a little hole. And I'm using seam binding here, and seam binding doesn't seem to, you know, like to come loose, so I'm not going to do the kind of lock thing that I've done with these. And then I'm just going to trim my ends. And this tag is done. So I made several of these out of scraps, little scraps. Totally cool. So let's get this out of the way. This one here, so this piece is this die here, and then this piece here, the bar that goes in it. And I wanted to kind of decorate the pockets. So what I did was I took cut-aparts that I liked, and I backed them on cardstock. So I backed them all on red, and then I cut pieces of these out of black, and then I cut the pattern papers out, you know, the bar die with the pattern paper. And then I'm just going to glue this right in the middle, like so. And then this goes on the top. So I'm just going to put some glue down the middle here. Center that. Okay, and then this is our pocket decoration, okay? So we have that. So let's put those in the book real quick, and I'll show you. We'll finish it up, okay? Let me get some of this out of the way. I used lots of toys doing this. Okay, so we have our little pocket. This one's going to go in the front because I have that one there. And in the back here are two big tags. We got one on each side. So I'm going to put her in there. And then on the inside here, I have two of the Graphic 45 tags in here. So I need to add one in here. So we have that tag in there. So see how pretty this is? It just, I love when you open it up and you just see all of the tags. It's just really awesome. And then the two at the top, the closure ribbon that comes down to tie this all together comes right through the middle. So it's perfect. And then let me see which pocket needs that. Okay, so the back pocket here needs this, and I just simply glued it down. And then that was my pocket decoration. Then I got to play with lots of my dies, use more cut-aparts. It just turned out really super cool. I just loved it. So I was having big fun doing that, because that's kind of the fun of this book. It's so easy to put together, but there is tons of things to make, to put inside, which really was fun. Okay, so inside of our book is done and put together. So each side has all of the tags that we need, and you could put photo mats back here if you wanted to. I decided to leave it blank. You have your back with your waterfall, and then it just closes like this on each side. And then I'm going to show you, the last thing we're going to do is show you how to make a heart rosette. You're going to love this. I forget where I learned it. I learned it a while ago, and I just thought it was perfect for this project. And it seems like we've been loving rosettes lately, so I really wanted to make some. And last night, actually, as I was getting ready to settle down for the night, an idea came to me, and I ended up coming up with a different size too. So I'm going to show you that. But they're super cute, aren't they? So let's make a rosette. Okay, we're going to make the hearts for our project. Now, I would encourage you to make the template, as I'm going to show you how to do it, and practice before you actually make the ones for your album, just to make sure you like the shape, because depending on how low you scoop it and how, you know, sharp you do the round will depend on your heart shape. So do a couple practices, make sure you like it. So what you're going to do is, for this size heart, and this size measures about 2 inches at the widest, and it is roughly 2 inches tall. So we're going to need a piece of cardstock that's 1 inch by 12, and I scored it, but I haven't folded it yet, every 1/4 of an inch. Okay, then what you're going to do is you want it to be able to fold in half. Okay, we need this piece to fold in half. So you're going to take a piece of paper that's going to end up being your template if you're happy with the shape that you get. that's 1 inch by 6 inches. This is going to lay on the fold, and you will draw your, you know, template on it and then cut it out. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab a piece of 1 by 6 paper, and we're going to just kind of draw the shape. Now, what you want to do is I'm going to draw this on here, and then we'll talk about it so then you can see what I'm talking about here. So this is a little bit less than half, so you have to go at least a 1/2 inch on this side for your pencil mark. And this one here goes all the way to the corner. So you kind of have to think of this in like thirds, okay? So like here's a third roughly, here's a third roughly, where the dome is. So you want to draw a shape that kind of curves down roughly at the third line, and then goes up to the dome, and then goes to the half mark on this side. I hope that makes sense. I've been trying to figure out how to explain this to you. But once you kind of draw this freehand shape, then you end up with your template. And then you take it, you put the fold piece on the fold of your paper and line it up, throw your pencil, and then draw your shape onto your 1 by 12 inch piece of paper. Okay, now this is not an exact science. Okay, this is a freehand draw, so you may or may not like the shape you get, so that's why I'm saying do a practice run. But then once you do that, kind of hold everything nice and steady, and then cut this shape out, and that's all you have to do. So I'm just cutting it out, and if you like the shape that you end up getting, keep your template, and then you can always just use that, and all you have to do is cut a 1 by 12 piece of paper to make this. So that'll be the center of your heart. So then you just fold your accordion, and you know, some of these pieces get a little skinny, so you just have to, you know, fold it up just like you would normally do. Okay, I'm going to kind of squish it down. There we go, making our rosette. Okay, so we cut it out. We're folding our rosette just like you would always do for a rosette. It's just got a curve in it now, right? And then for this particular size, I just punched a 5/8 inch couple of circles to go ahead and finish it. Okay, so now you should have something that looks like this. So you have your center here, and then you have your ends. So your ends should be pointing down. What we want to do is glue those two together just like that. Okay, so you want to put it just like that. So we're going to grab our glue and do that. And just pinch those together, and that's, whoops, after you throw it, of course, that's going to be the bottom of your heart. Okay, so now as you look at this, you'll notice you have a curved edge, and you have, you know, a more straight flat edge. That's the edge. The flat edge is what's going to go, you know, fold inside. So I'm going to grab my circle here, and I'm going to put my art glitter glue on here. Now, it is faster to use hot glue, but this works, and this is how I did it, and it does set up fairly quickly. So you just, whoops, squish it together, maybe, like that. Okay, and there's your heart shape. Okay, and then you got to hold it down, though. This is always the fun part of making rosettes, right? And it's a little bit more tricky because this isn't round, so that doesn't help. But we'll put our thing on there. Oh, for crying in the night. I knew I was going to do that. And I never had this much trouble making these when I was doing it off camera. I mean, seriously, can you believe this? I mean, unbelievable. It takes like 12 people and 3 hands extra from that in order to do this. All right, so I'm going to put that down there, and I'm going to pray that I can keep it down. Okay, so there you go. So rosettes can be a little fussy. Yes, they can. All right. So here we go. So I'm just going to hold that down for just a minute, okay? And that's basically all you have to do. And if you're happy with that shape, then you're done. Basically, that's what you do. So this is for the smaller, like 2x2 heart, okay? And once this art glue to glue sets, now it does set fairly quickly. And again, like I said, hot glue would be a lot faster. But I didn't fire up my glue gun. So then I'm going to just carefully turn it over. Make sure everything stays down. And I'm going to put my, if I could pick it up. I never had this much trouble off camera. My goodness, this is gonna, I should do a blooper reel. All right, so now I'm gonna put the other circle on the other side, and then our little heart is set. So that's how you make it. Now this bottom piece here, this piece that we glued together here, those two things, now you can leave it just like that, which is what I did. Or if it bothers you, you can go ahead and snip that end off and just make it match the curve of the heart. Okay, so there it is. There's your heart. Now, then, of course, last night, I decided I wanted to make some bigger hearts. I wanted to figure it out. So I did figure it out. Let's talk about the bigger hearts. So the bigger hearts, the first one I did 1/2-inch scores. I wasn't really crazy about that. It didn't, I don't know, it just looks anemic to me. So I decided to make one with 3/8-inch scores, and I really liked this one. Now this one is quite a bit bigger. This one is about 4 1/4 and about 3 1/2 tall. So it is a lot bigger. But if you want a bigger heart-shaped rosette, then that's what you're going to get. So I figured out how to make that. Now, remember, we have to put this on a fold, so you have to do that. Now, in order to do that, I did two 12x12-inch, or 12x12, 2x12 pieces of cardstock. And then I scored them all. And then what you're going to do, the last two scores, we're going to glue together. So I'm just going to fold these. Okay, so like that, like I'm starting the score, and then I'm just going to glue them together like that to make one long strip. This is how I figured it out. And then it has to fold in half, right? Because we have to have this in half in order to make the heart shape where the peak and the dome, you know, work out, right? So I'm going to go ahead and fold my strip, and when I measured this, now my strip, my piece is 11 1/2 inches to the fold, okay? So I cut a piece that was 2 by 11 1/2 inches. So then I did the same thing. I started at the peak, or, you know, at the top here, and about 1/3 of the way down was the bottom of my valley there. And then I raised it up. Here's my dome. And then I did about halfway down. So that's about 1 inch, and that's going to be on the fold. So again, we're going to line this up. So my template is 11 1/2 inches. Okay. And I'm just going to line this up, and I'm going to draw my shape. Like so. Okay, and then that goes all the way to the peak. And remember, this is all freehand, so, you know, each little heart's going to have its own little personality. And I'm going to just cut this out. Like so. And I did the scores every 3/8 of an inch, and I think it turned out much better. I really liked it. And I just really, I mean, my brain was like, I have to figure out how to do this because, I mean, seriously, I wanted to make a bigger one. So, but you do need 2 strips. So you have to put them together. The wider the strips, the more strips you'll need. So you'll just have to go through this process. If you wanted to use 3-inch strips, you would just have to do the same kind of process to figure out you know, how long your template has to be. Or you don't even have to do a template. Just take it, make the strip, fold it in half, do a freehand, and, you know, go for it. But if you don't want to do that, if you like the shape, you want to keep the shape forever and ever and ever, just make a template and just keep it. And then you have it. All right, so we're almost there. So I just folded my heart. And I'm just going to scrunch it up here, make sure I have some nice edges. And then we'll do the same thing. So we're going to glue those two tails together. Like so. And that completes our circle. Okay, so we have that. This is the straight edge versus the curved edge. The straight edge is going to go to the inside. I'm going to get my circles ready, and hopefully I won't flip this heart all over my table. Should be a little easier to do that. It's bigger. And I'm just going to squish it together. I'm going to turn it around so I can actually see the heart shape better. And I love that shape. I do love that shape. So I'm going to get my circle here. Put that down. Then I can use both hands, and voila, I got my heart. Isn't this fun? Yeah, I ended up really liking this shape with this 3/8 inch. It just turned out really super pretty. Now on this one I did the 1 inch circle. On this one I just did a heart over the top of it just to see what it would look like. I just thought it was cute. I punched that out of a piece of scrap cardstock. But this is how you make heart rosettes. Isn't this fun? Now I'm going to put glue on the other side. And there you go. So I did, excuse me, 3 of the 1 inch rosettes for my album cover, or my folio cover. And I just think they turned out really pretty. So then after I did that, then I just took my double bow and glued that on with a button over top, and there is my project. And I just think it turned out really super pretty. So there you go. That's how you make a bigger heart. And I just love that shape. I just think that shape turned out really pretty. I wasn't too crazy about that one, but I really like this one. Okay, so there's my project, guys, and that's how you make rosettes. And this is my beautiful folio, Love is in the Air Z-Fold folio, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope you liked it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.